love me for my ambition.
Crazy major. I'm calling it the major white comedian podcaster beef currently happening. That a lot of people are not talking about it because they're not tapped into the white comedian podcaster world like I am. But I am, so I'm here to deliver this to you guys and bring it to our world here. But Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz over the weekend went off on Mark Maron. Mark Maron recently announced that he is canceling his podcast. He's basically one of the pioneers of podcasting. It's Mark Maron, Joe Rogan, Tom Green. There's a lot of people from that era that stayed doing that podcast style of content to this day, and Mark Maron is one of them. Right, one of the founding fathers of podcasting. He's finally ended his podcast, the WTF What the Fuck podcast. His last episode, I believe he interviewed Barack Obama. But Mark Maron recently went off on Joe Rogan after he's been kind of going off on him since 2020 when Joe Rogan had Trump on. Mark Maron's been very vocal about these type of platforms misusing their influence and the actual, reach that they get when they have someone like a Trump on their podcast. This was Mark Maron's take, right? Mark Maron, again, has been going off on Joe Rogan. People have always said, why isn't Mark Maron kind of friends with Joe Rogan? He went on Joe Rogan's podcast in the past years ago, but there had never been more of a collaboration, more of a friendship. People have always seen him kind of like that. Almost, for lack of better terms, they're almost like the white Charlemagne the God and Joe Budden, in the podcast world, where people are like, hey, there's this beef between them, but there's similarities. Why aren't they working together? This is what they've always felt like, right? It's been the online narrative. But it's now went to a heightened level. Mark Maron recently was also on the Bad Friends podcast, my favorite comedy podcast, where Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee. On that podcast was where he was shitting on Rogan and subbing. I felt like he was subbing Andrew Schultz as well. And then what made it more controversial was the fact that a couple weeks later, Andrew Santino from the Bad Friends podcast went on the Joe Rogan podcast. But they didn't address Mark Maron. They didn't talk about Mark Maron being on. So it's almost like, yeah, you had my op on your podcast, but then you come on my podcast and it's like, oh, we don't talk about it, etc. Joe Rogan has been pretty much quiet about Mark Maron. He hasn't said shit about him. He hasn't really addressed him. He hasn't really cared to. He has now finally unleashed the wrath on Mark Maron. Here's one clip, specifically when Andrew Schultz went on Joe Rogan's podcast and he brought up the topic. And he basically laid the plant for this man to go off, right? And he went off. Here's the clip.
You forgive. You know what I mean? You have somebody on your pod who had someone on their pod talking shit. You're better than me.
He's talking about Andrew Santino.
You got to be able to just let things go.
I can't wait for Gavin Newsom to go on Bad Friends. I can't. I want to see I'm distancing myself from the Rogan Sphere tour.
That's
First
hilarious.
stop, Bad Friends.
That's hilarious.
I thought that was corny.
Yeah.
I thought it was corny.
Yeah, we talked about that. I don't know. It is what it is.
You're more forgiving.
There's no time that you should, in my mind, no time that you.
So Santino says, Schultz says that basically Andrew Santino, he thought it was corny having Mark Maron on and then going on the Joe Rogan podcast. So that's oh shit, there's a beef between Andrew Santino and Andrew Schultz now. Who the fuck knew? I didn't know. What the fuck? And the two Andrews, right, are fighting. What the fuck is going on? And then we have Joe Rogan revealing, hey, I spoke to him about it. We talked about that. So they probably talked about it, obviously, behind the scenes, because on the Joe Rogan podcast episode, they never addressed it at all. They didn't address it at all. Mark Maron, it wasn't brought up. It wasn't a topic of conversation unless it was edited out. And then now, also, they continue going off on Mark Maron.
Let me reflect on this. Does this make any sense? Because it doesn't make any sense, because those people are doing a job outside of comedy.
Exactly.
Just like me. I'm doing a job outside of comedy, too.
But you can't even give it any credence. It's like the guy, every criticism he has, he's guilty of. He's like, how dare you have presidents on the pod and have fun with them? And it's like, you had Obama before anybody. You started this. You didn't ask Obama anything about fucking drone strikes or whatever. And frankly, and I love Obama. I just want to point that out. Like, I actually really do. And I know there's probably fucked up shit that anybody in power got to do. But, like, I liked him.
I love him as a statesman. I think he was the best statesman we've ever had.
You just felt good.
Yes.
You just felt good.
We felt like he's a great representative of America.
100%.
Was another level.
Anyway, but it's like, you did it. You did the thing. You did the exact same thing. Talk all this shit about like, oh,
we just had him on recently. You didn't ask him anything.
Of course he did.
Anything like would you have repealed the Smith-Mundt Act?
But is that surprising to you?
No, not
of course
to
not, because we know, because we're inside.
Well, this is the thing. He like positions himself as this intellectual, but he doesn't say anything interesting.
Yeah,
there's nothing that guy ever says where I'm like, wow, that's a unique insight.
That's the thing.
Fucking never. It's childish with a good vocabulary.
No, I think he's a smart guy. I think he's probably smarter than he is funny. I think that drives him crazy.
Yeah, but he's also too obsessed with himself to be reflective enough to understand like why other people don't like him.
Wait, you're saying the guy who talks by himself for 5 minutes before the president comes on? 15 minutes? If there wasn't for Fast Forward, there would be no Maron podcast.
Yeah.
And that was
just
before
a rant.
Yeah.
So they went off, right? They later on go on to say, we know who the pieces of shit are in our industry. So this is like real deal comedian beef happening behind the scenes. And Joe Rogan also highlights the Mark Maron joke that Mark Maron made about another podcaster. There's like multi-layers to this. Mark Maron had a viral joke about Theo Von, one of the biggest podcasters in the world. I love Theo Von. Theo Von, I guess, got like very emotional and dark. And recently he kind of had that energy in the past couple months. And then Joe Rogan ties it to this joke this whole time, right? Mark Maron had this joke, and I'll play it real quick. It's a short, funny joke. I think it's hilarious. About Theo Von.
Apologized. I think if Hitler were alive today, he'd probably appear on Theo Von's podcast. And Theo would be like, see, y'all did a lot of meth, right? I mean, all the Nazis were all fucked up on meth, right, Hitler? That shit'll make you crazy, dog. I did some meth once. I was up for 3 days, and then I ate a live bird. No shit, Hitler, a live bird, bro. Hey, Hitler, you probably didn't even hate the Jews. That was just the meth making you crazy, dog. Hey, Hitler. Do you want to apologize to all the Jews right now on my show? No? I get it.
Yeah, he low-key sounds like him.
He low-key sounds like Theo Von. So he made fun of Theo Von, basically saying that Theo Von would basically interview anyone, even Hitler. If Hitler was alive, he would be on the Theo Von podcast, right? Which I found hilarious. And his actual mocking of Theo Von was funny. But Theo Von, I guess, is sent him in a dark space, according to Joe Rogan, and it fucked him up mentally when Mark Maron made this joke, right? Because I guess he probably felt like, damn, people perceive me this way. This is how people see me, right? And he probably had a moment of self-reflection. And also, Bad Friends, when you go on their YouTube channel, they removed Mark Maron from their thumbnail when they interviewed Mark Maron on the episode. They changed the thumbnail and everything to that episode where that went viral with Mark Maron. The interview's still up. There's like a part that seems like it was kind of edited during the interview, but maybe it was already edited before. I'm not sure if that's like a new edit. But if you go to the comments of the Bad Friends podcast interview with Mark Maron, all the comments keep saying, oh my God, Daddy Rogan made the call. Daddy Rogan made the call. You guys are folding for Daddy Rogan. You guys switched up the thumbnail for Daddy Rogan. Oh my God, Daddy Rogan. It got you guys like gripped by the balls. So there's this whole, I've been like in this deep rabbit hole looking at all this because I didn't know this was really happening. I'm like, damn, I forgot all about this. Like,
niggas say fuck the pod. I just looked it up.
Like and the comments are going crazy. I think that there's some right to what Mark Maron says because he's just very critical of like how we addressed it last week, the influence that these podcasters have during the Trump situation and how they're now talking about Trump and like backtracking things. There's a lot of hypocrisy in that.
Yeah, he sounds like a hater because he sounds like he's doing the same exact thing he's calling out.
But then Mark Maron has a lot of moments of hypocrisy himself. What makes it more interesting, Mark Maron, I think there's going to be one day a very dope documentary about him because there's so many levels to him. He had a whole situation with Jon Stewart where he was like jealous of Jon Stewart's career. and he had a whole beef with Jon Stewart.
Jesus Christ.
And then now he's like admittedly said like, yeah, I was just jealous of the guy. Like he gets jealous of people and shits on them. Like it's like a thing that he does. It's crazy. I was like, what the fuck? Like I've always known about him as like a legend in the podcast space. I never really listened to his podcast because he's not a video podcast guy. He's just audio only. He recently started doing like a video here and there, but he's like a core podcaster to the essence still, where he was still just only audio. So he never tried to adapt to the new world or whatever the case may be. He really made his money, it seemed like, from being a comedian. Also, an actor. If you look him up, he's in a lot of dope shit, bro. Yeah. He's in a lot of dope shit.
I didn't even know he was in the Joker. I was like confused.
Yeah, he's in the Joker. Like he's in a lot of dope things.
I'm trying to remember.
He's a good
where
actor.
I saw him in that
He's a good actor. I think he's a good actor. I think he's pretty funny as well. I think if it comes to stand up, I think he's funnier than Rogan. I think Rogan's stand up is not really that funny. It's not my type of comedy.
Rogan's never been like a good comic for me. He's been a better interviewer than anything else.
And I think Rogan's very hilarious on his podcast.
Yeah, on his podcast
more than his stand up. I would say
because he like builds off the people he's talking with. Like they go into their little bits together.
Yes, but it's very interesting to see where there is a lot of biases being shown here because they're just mad. For example, the Theo Von joke's hilarious.
That's funny.
Andrew Schultz and Joe Rogan are always Mr. Let's protect all jokes. But now, since it's a joke against your friend,
and it's making your friend look
and it's making your friend
way.
like emotional,
and it's also your friend has been targeted for this exact issue on the internet. This is the biggest thing. He literally was on the Department. We reported the Department of Homeland Security's video. You look crazy. Niggas been calling you out for being a hypocrite because now you want to backpedal.
Exactly.
And now this nigga's doubling down on the fact that you got caught backpedaling.
Yes.
That's all this is.
Exactly.
And they know they're next. That's the other part. They're getting ahead of what comes for them. Because when Andrew Schultz finally sits there and calls out Trump, he's gonna look crazy.
Yeah.
Because Charlamagne's been telling him, bro, you look nuts. The same with Rogan. Niggas been telling Rogan, what are you doing copying for this guy, bro?
Yeah, no. And my thing is this, though. The Mark Maron situation is funny. And I would recommend anyone to go like down a deep rabbit hole with this because it's fucking crazy. But aside from it, they know him personally, right? So maybe there is like some personal shit, because there clearly is personal shit behind the scenes where,
oh, without a doubt,
like shit might have happened at these comedy shows, etc. Like, because they are like Rogan's been quiet for a while, but he's now finally
because he's going to church though.
Yeah, well, he's religious. Rogan,
you haven't seen the thing that
he's religious now.
He has some guy on the pod, a big Christian theorist, I think it was, and since then he's been going to church.
Oh, I didn't know.
It was all over the news that like he's been attending mass. I think he goes to Catholic church. I might be wrong.
Wow.
But he goes to church. That's been a whole thing. That's why I thought he stopped posting, was because he was going to church.
Listen, I would just recommend you guys to go watch this shit because this shit's hilarious, man. And it is interesting, right? Rogan might be like how we were saying about LeBron, where he does have power. Because they changed the thumbnail. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised at that point. Just delete the fucking episode. Like if you guys want to change the thumbnail, like they were like look at the. I know I looked it up. The difference, it looks crazy. Like it's like he's on the thumbnail, Mark Maron, and then they remove him completely. And then you watch the podcast. The whole podcast is Mark Maron. They're interviewing him the whole podcast. So it's this clearly like, hey, Santino's like, yo, I'm your friend. I'll remove him from the thumbnail. But why? Just delete the interview.
My thing is Rogan and Schultz. What are you gonna do when the rooster comes to roost? A crow, whatever the saying is.
What the fuck is? I know what you mean, but I forgot the phrase.
When the rooster comes to something, you know what I'm saying.
When the cock comes to
cadoodling,
I don't know.
What are you gonna do? Because they're up next. The jokes are gonna come for them too. Because what he's talking about, they're also victims of.
I can see a Dave Chappelle. I can see a future Dave Chappelle
doing this to them.
Bit. The same way Mark Maron made fun of Theo Von, Dave Chappelle makes fun of Rogan and Schultz. And already he wasn't really fucking with Schultz too much, Chappelle, in the past. Like he was calling Chappelle, what Andrew Schultz did during the COVID. He was like, oh, slideshow comedy. Like he's like, oh, I'm not into slideshows. Some shit like that. He subliminally kind of came at Schultz.
I remember that.
So it's interesting. This Rogan sphere and Rogan universe, I'm sorry, I love Rogan, but brother, you cannot deny it. Like
y'all did this.
Anything like he was like, remember Prime Drake when Drake would like co-sign somebody, he'll post somebody. He posted fucking even Baby Keem, etc. Yeet. Mm-hmm. it would help people's careers. Like people were like, look him up. Who are these people? Who is Drake co-signing? Are they gonna be working with him? Rogan would do that, and it would help people blow the fuck up. And they admit it. Bert Kreischer, etc. Right? Anyone that was tied to Joe Rogan, their podcast and their relevancy became
whatever they're
bigger.
Talking about.
Became bigger because he's that much of a fucking personality.
Yep.
By just having him on, by just being on his podcast, your book is potentially a New York Times bestseller the next week. That's how much of influence Joe Rogan has. There's 40 million people listen to Joe Rogan every week. Like, his influence is huge. So the brosphere that he had, like, he can't deny it. Like, this Rogan sphere. So people are always going to say this shit. So coincidentally, when a lot of you in his vicinity have the same, like, opinions on shit, people are going to be like, oh, these guys must have had a call. Like, oh, he must have called the Bad Friends guys. Like, he must have called them to delete the thumbnail. Like, it can't, I don't think it's really just them solely doing it. I think there's conversations that be had, and it's like his influence gets seen. But then at the same time, one can argue maybe he's deserving of that because he's done so much for them. They may be like, yo, fuck it. Whatever you need, Joe. Like, we got to protect you at all costs. But they might have that energy.
That's great. Cool. Thank you, Chev, for giving me the slogan. Chickens have come home to roost. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Chev.
Thank you. The chickens have come home to roost.
Shout out to the Chevolution.
Chevolution. Yup. Go follow that on IG. I believe the chickens are here. I believe that Joe Rogan is going to have a bad positioning in this situation because you have done a crusade defending comedy, saying that all comedy needs to be protected, like you said. This is a scenario where you're censoring comedy because it doesn't benefit you. It doesn't benefit your friends. And it's going to open you up to public scrutiny because you are a victim of the same thing they're calling out. So, I said victim. You are a perpetrator of the same thing they're calling out. So, this is my question to you, Vic. Let's say, hypothetically, Dave Chappelle or another mega giant comes for him. And these niggas just start like the little Rogan bots. Like the people who have their allegiance to Rogan, who have their careers because of Rogan, they take his side and they start censoring these comics. Can we publicly call Rogan a hypocrite? Like, at that point, what do you think is going to happen in Rogan's career? Do you see people turning on him if that's the type of action he starts to take?
Oh, hell yeah. I see it. I can see that happening. Because already, for example, like, those comments were very alerting to me. I saw the Bad Friends comments and they're like, Daddy Rogan. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, this is a narrative that I don't think is going to escape anytime soon because Rogan just keeps doubling down on this shit. Like, one thing is to shit on someone, but then it's like you do things that people try to do to you, the censoring, etc., and then you try, like, if that comes out, like Santino's like, yeah, Rogan called us, so we changed the thumbnail.
You're gonna look crazy.
It's like,
yeah,
like, okay, wait a minute, like, we're gonna censor this now, like, what, you know what I'm saying? And I get it, but don't be mad. Let's say at Marin more. Be mad at, like, maybe Santino if you're really that close to him. Like, yo, damn, you should have called him out more when you had him on, etc. Maybe. But to control it is different to me, like, to actually, because it's already out there.
Yeah, the free speech mob has no right.
Or call him out while he's there on your podcast, because Santino went on. They had a 3-hour podcast, and to be honest,
you could call him on. Yeah,
Rogan spoke more. I watched the podcast. Rogan spoke like 80% of the time. I'm not gonna lie. So maybe there was some tension. That's why Santino didn't get much speaking time, but Rogan was speaking to himself the whole podcast.
I think he's pissed. But my thing is this: you put a president in office because of the free speech issue. Mm-hmm. That was his biggest thing, was free speech. The other big thing, and that was Elon's biggest thing too. Like, him and Elon, oh my God, like, I remember these Rogan videos like they were yesterday. I think Elon went on that podcast like 4 times that year.
Yeah, smoked a blunt with him a couple times, or one time at least.
And they were like really pushing this narrative. So for you to change the thumbnail, if he had taken down the video, that would have been worse for me. Because it's like, my fucking God, you people are such fucking hypocrites. And you undermine the democracy by, you know, utilizing your overwhelming influence and power to get this person in office. And it was for what? Because you're just going to be you were going to be a hypocrite on the issue anyway. You were still going to censor people you didn't agree with anyway.
Yeah.
You're going to be the exact issue you claimed you were putting President Trump in to stop. Like, you guys are just so...
Yeah, because the Theo Von joke, like, oh, it made Theo Von feel dark and sad. It's like, but it's a funny ass joke. According to your standards, no jokes are off limits.
Thank you.
And on top of that, it's
God.
like, if we want to go that route, what about all these transphobic jokes, homophobic jokes? doesn't it make these actual homosexual, transgender people feel offended and dark and sad? You think it's just Theo Von? It's like I don't know.
Theo Von makes disability jokes all the time too about how niggas have Down syndrome and shit. What is he talking about?
And if to be honest, bro, I'm not sure. Rogan shouldn't have revealed that. Because I'm not sure I don't think Theo Von really revealed that. I think Rogan was the first one. They'll correct me in the comments, but I think it might have been Rogan the first time. Like, I don't think Theo Von.
I haven't seen Theo Von say anything about this.
Said specifically, like, yo, this guy's joke fucked me up. Like, Rogan saying that, I'm like, damn.
That looks stupid.
You should have not said that then. Because now you're going to look hypocritical this whole time. But
you're going to look crazy.
Deep dive whenever you guys get the chance. And there's plenty of videos. There's a guy actually from Rhode Island. I forgot his YouTube channel. I think it's like off the top of my head, I forgot. But
someone said if Joe Rogan was your friend, wouldn't you do the same? What are we talking about?
Do what? The thumbnail change?
Yeah.
The thing is, how close of friends are they? Because if they were really friends and I was Santino, I would edit it out. You wouldn't even see it. Like, it wouldn't even come out. I'll be like, Marin, sorry, I gotta. That's Rogan's my boy. Like. Or defend him more in that moment. Like, I don't know. Or maybe not have him on because you know he's going to shit on Rogan. Like, if Marin's whole thing is shitting on Rogan, like,
my thing is this, Vic. I'm not mad at the friend. Because if I'm the friend, Joe Rogan's whole thing is free speech.
Yeah.
That's my frustration here is like, so niggas can't speak. Like, if I don't say something nice about your friend, that's when you get to censor me. Like, yo, Joe, the hypocrisy is blatant. And the person in the chat saying Joe didn't help Trump win the election or make him win. Yes, he did. The exit polls, people are reporting the only reason they voted for Joe Rogan is because Trump. I mean, the only reason they voted for Trump is because they saw him on the Joe Rogan podcast. Podcasts have massive influence in politics now. It is being reported. It's being documented. That's why we talk about politics here because we want people to be informed.
Andrew Schultz and Santino in a boxing ring. Who wins?
Andrew Schultz.
Andrew Schultz is fit as fuck right now because he's practicing for a Street Fighter movie. He's gonna act with 50 Cent in Street Fighter movie. Yeah, bro. He plays a character in Street Fighter movie.
This sounds like
it's crazy.
A straight cameo movie.
No. He's a main fighter. I forgot the name.
Is this real acting or cameo movie?
No, live action. Live action. Yep. He's one of the Street Fighters. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
We'll see.
If it's comedy, it's gonna be even funnier. But I think it might be a serious role. But Schultz did not fuck with what Santino did. That was hilarious to me. I'm like, oh shit, this beef just unearthed online everywhere. But that's major white comedian podcaster beef right now happening. We cover all the podcast beef here. We got to cover that one because I'm like, yo, this should be more covered, man, because this is not going anywhere anytime soon, especially Mark Maron. He's just gonna keep doing podcasts. He might come on here for all we know. If he's doing a podcast retirement tour, he's gonna go everywhere and promote himself because he has no podcast no more, so he's gonna do other people's podcasts. And the Joe Rogan and Maron podcast would be historical. Santino's told Maron, what if you have him on here? What if he comes on Bad Friends, you and him? Like Bobby Lee was like, yeah, let's make it happen. Like, what if you guys have an interview, come on here, blah, blah, blah. We'll see what happens with that, but that would be a shouting match. Especially right now. If they do it, it'd have to be like right now during the Trump hypocrisy being called out. That's when they would have to, oh my God.
Because one is clearly like, they're low-key, they're both kind of grifting. But they're grifting for each side.
Yeah.
Like, respectfully. So
that'd be a crazy podcast.
It's actually necessary. I hope they do it. That'd be fun to see
because Mayor's become the face of that, like, and he was doing this, calling people out in the podcast world for years. But like I said, he's not in the video world, so he's not like mainstream. But if you know, you know. Like, he's still respected because he's been one of the pioneers. So, but he's one of the first people to call out Joe and shit. Not just now, like a lot of people are doing. He's been doing that shit the day the guy went on, the day Trump went on. Like, he was talking about it. So it's
you know what, this is funny.
That'd be interesting
because the guy who first interviewed Obama, you know how you reported last week that he did the last interview with Obama?
Yeah, that's him. Mark Maron.
Oh, that's him?
That's the same guy.
Oh, yo.
That's Mark Maron.
They were frying him on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Vic, because I thought it was someone else. Vic, they were frying him. Maron. Because Obama was giving answers, and niggas on internet are like, shut the fuck up. That's not true.
Yeah, that was Mark Maron.
Bro, because there were things that Obama was saying that I'm like, I know this isn't true. I remember learning this in class. Like, you are lying out of your ass. Some things were true. Like, he tried to pass universal basic health care. It didn't work.
But that's what people were shitting on Maron because they were like, yo, you're calling out Rogan, but hold up.
You're humanizing Obama on this podcast.
Why are you not shitting on Obama?
You should have.
But I think he's not going to because this is his last podcast.
So
You know what I'm saying? I think that's what it is, bro. He was trying to, and I think he's actually friends
with
with
Obama.
Obama because he's interviewed him in the past. I think they're actual friends, like real life friends.
My thing is, bro, you don't get the right to call out Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz about
hypocrisy again.
Yeah, because you're calling them out about them platforming Trump and helping him win the election. But bro, you're humanizing Obama, who's a war criminal. Like it's not like, we call every U.S. president a war criminal. No, Obama's a war criminal, bro. Like Trump is bombing niggas in Venezuela right now and Colombia using drones because Obama set the president. He did it first. Like he was killing mad civilians. This shit is so mind blowing to me, bro. And he just let him sit there and say this shit. Oh my God, he's a hypocrite. What's wrong with him? That's sick. I would love to see that argument.
I think that podcast would be the podcast, to be honest. Like Cat Williams, etc. Like those are epic, but this would be that would be an epic moment.
They gonna love me for my ambition.